Krusty's Corner today. There's a couple of we've talked about this of the Cowboys potentially trying to get an extra draft pick or two out of this draft.
I think it's pretty important.
I'm very confident that they will do this, by the way.
Okay. As we've talked about potentially going to a spot like Baltimore,
Okay.
30th?
the 30th pick, and pick up Baltimore's third round 93.
Okay.
So we're okay with that, right?
Heck yes. Heck
okay.
yes.
Yeah,
Wooly,
probably okay.
Wooly Bully, can you give me somebody? We did this on the draft show. And by the way, draft show was today for Thursday. Had some really good discussions about that. Nick Harris was at the Texas Pro Day. He's got some really good information. So after our show tonight, give the draft show a little listen and kind of get some good insight there. But we talked about this today on the show, is if you could trade back.
Okay.
Give me an idea of a player that you think that you can trade back for and you would still be there and you would be happy about that.
I think certainly Graham Barton, offensive lineman out of Duke.
Do you think he'll be there at 30?
I think he's got a chance to be there at 30. Right now, most of the mocks have him going probably between 28 and 31. So he's going to probably be in that range unless he ends up, being elevated and some teams decide, hey, we are higher on him than JPJ, like I am. But I don't know.
Powers Johnson from Oregon.
Yeah.
The center.
So he's a guy that certainly I think you'd have a chance at. I wonder about Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. I think could be an option.
At 30.
Kingsley Suamatia.
I think for sure. BYU.
Would be an option there as well.
Offensive lineman?
Yes.
All offensive linemen we're
Do you
talking
want me
about.
to give you a player that's not an offensive lineman?
Give me somebody, yes. Give me an offensive lineman that I would not have thought about at 30.
Let's
Any
go.
one of those linebackers? Because I keep hearing about
Cooper.
Texas
Texas
A&M.
A&M.
That would be, you're probably going to.
He's going to be the first linebacker off the board, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Can I convince you guys as a position to take a linebacker in the first round?
I'm going to fight you on it pretty good.
Okay.
I obviously don't know all these prospects like you do.
I know you don't, but I'm just talking about the position as you look at this football team.
Yeah, I would be. That would not be something that I would want to do. But based on the players available, you might be able to convince me, but that would not be ideal for me.
He's got to be a lot better than the offensive lineman on the board, but you could convince me.
Okay. I like that you guys are keeping the open mind about that. Okay, that's going down to Baltimore.
Yeah, and why is Baltimore coming up? Are we just looking at Baltimore just to look at Baltimore, or do we feel like there's something like our team? Are we seeing them trade up, or
they're a team that's talked about? They're a team that's kind of in the back of the draft that has a little bit of they're kind of
maybe want to go get a guy,
but they're also another team too that lets people fall. They're a let fall to you. That like good players fall to them.
Yeah.
Buffalo and Baltimore, two teams that kind of the gang and seven are whispering about.
Buffalo got aggressive last year. They jumped in front of you and went and got Dalton Kincaid.
And those are the types of teams that feel like, hey, we are one badass player away from making us the AFC Championship caliber team to a Super Bowl caliber team.
Right.
So they can fool themselves into thinking they're a player away.
Okay. Can I convince you guys to trade out of the first round?
Yes, you can.
To early second, sure. They've gotten good players right there before several times. So if they know it's basically the same player, 10 back, 15 back, I'd be all right with that, especially if you're picking up like threes.
Okay. Here's where I'm at on the trading back scenario. I've got you going back, Wooly Bully, to the Commanders at 36.
Okay.
So now we're
dancing with Dan Quinn.
We've gone from 24 to 36.
So I'm looking at
what I'm going to give you though for making this move.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to you guys to pick up a third round pick, which will be pick 78?
It definitely is because they now have more holes than they have picks to fill.
Yes.
So you need it.
Yeah. Okay. Can you project for me guys that you're looking at potentially at 36?
I would be looking at Zach Frazier, center out of Michigan or West Virginia.
Yeah.
I think he would be a guy I'd be looking at. I think that's when you start having a conversation, maybe a Kingsley Suamatia if he's still there, BYU. I think maybe corner is in the conversation here as well.
Not upset about that.
Maybe that's a TJ Tampa. Maybe you get a Rakestraw from Mizzou, who's a local kid here that slides. I mean, we saw that happen last year with a Joey Porter Jr. I think that's also where you start to have a serious conversation about Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker from Texas A&M.
Yeah, see, I keep hearing about Cooper, that with these linebackers, that he is the one, and there's health questions about all these guys. You know, and by the way, can I circle back to real quick on my 30th Baltimore pick real quick? I want to get something in. What we're hearing about Powers Johnson, the center from Oregon, there's a couple of things I'm focusing on right now. Kuiper hasn't put him in any of his mock drafts in the first round,
which is a red flag to me. He knows something.
He knows something. And if you look at Daniel Jeremiah dropped him down, Powers Johnson down to Dallas's pick at 24.
And he had been going
in the
top
anywhere
20,
21, 22. I mean, he'd been going ahead of
19,
Dallas.
Yeah.
He'd been going ahead of Dallas in a lot of these mocks. So you got a guy like Kuiper not even putting him in these mocks. Daniel Jeremiah dropping him in mocks.
They'd probably get the whispers from the combine.
There's got to be something going on.
Yeah, they're getting
there.
the medicals.
Okay, all right, circle back. Hurt center, or center that might potentially have something wrong with him that's causing him to sink in the draft. Are we
second round?
I'm feeling good about Powers Johnson. If you've got a medical red flag at 36, if you've traded back, you've gotten an extra pick. I consider that at 36 still.
I mean,
I'm trying to consider it 24 now.
At 24, I'm taking Graham Barton. If I want a center, I would just rather take Graham Barton, who's a player that personally I just like more.
And I don't think you're in a position, if you're Dallas right now, to take risks.
Yeah.
You've got to get guys that can play. And they've done it far too often in the second round with he's got issues, but we'll see. And oftentimes it doesn't work out. You don't have that luxury right now. You need players to hit.
Okay, my final minute here. If we go to 36 with the Commanders, anybody interested in taking a defensive tackle at one technique?
Yeah, like a Fisk or a Sweat.
Fisk or Sweat.
Yeah, I would be interested.
If it's far
now,
and
I know
away,
you guys don't know the player, but that's
the far and away the best player on the board,
Braden Fisk is going
fight
to be
you.
an absolute monster in the NFL.
I think that's a massively important player. I think especially for Mike Zimmer. So yeah, I do that.
okay. So
you'd have to be admitting your Mozzie Smith mistake.
Is it Vita Vea?
Braden Fisk has.
Braden Fisk is, I think, more.
He's a more athletic Vita Vea.
He's not as big.
He's not.
Sweat is
Sweat
more.
as big,
Sweat's is big. Sweat's
Yeah.
a 360,
but doesn't have quite the pass rush upside as Vita Vea did.
Right.
Now that Mike Zimmer's in there, I bet he won't make such massive mistakes on the traits you're looking for. So I think I'd like it.
Okay.
He has an eye for those kind of
So
guys.
if you back up to 36, the defensive tackle comes into play.
Yeah, the
linebacker's in play. The corner's in play.
Corners in play.
And the offensive tackle, are we too far past that?
No, I think you might have a chance. Maybe a Morgan Falls.
Or the center as well.
Because now you
or
got the 2 and 2 3s, right?
Yes,
so
right.
you can still get your lineman, your linebacker, and your runner.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your help.
You're working the hell out of this draft, Brian. It's
I'm trying.
fascinating to watch your work, broski.
I'm trying.